We are good. We're
I
up.
don't, okay, I don't want my timer showing. Okay, there we go. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Everyday Riches Show. I'm one of your hosts here, Barbara Ellison, transformational life trainer from the Wellness Playroom, bringing back the Wellness Playroom. I kept forgetting to say the Wellness Playroom, because aging gracefully is not about trying to look like a 30-year-old. So we're going to talk about those kinds of things. And I have my fabulous co-host here, of course,
What is
Jason
up?
Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Looking
How are
forward
you
to another
doing?
week. I'm doing great. Looking forward to another week of bringing the everyday riches, and we have an awesome guest, Sherry, that I'm going to meet here for the first time. How do you two know how do you two know each other?
How did we? It wasn't on LinkedIn. It was
through Achieve.
through Achieve. Yeah.
Okay. What's that?
Achieve is a group that helps people like myself kind of build their business and have the resources and some of the training that you need to grow and build a business. And it's called Achieve Systems. And they are growing like mad. And honestly, I couldn't have my business, nor could I be coming out with this book coming out without their assistance and their help. It's awesome resources, overwhelming resources.
Yeah. And I think we have a friend, Barb Sayers.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Barbara Sayers.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
So that was it. Yes, because you usually Jason and I would talk, oh yeah, LinkedIn. Yes. So
There's all kinds of different. I always love asking where people met, because there's all these different ways of going out and meeting people. And we've met a lot of people on LinkedIn. But one of the things we talk about consistently on this show is, if you don't like your tribe, if you don't feel like your friend group, or you always say it's like, I need to know the right people. That is absolutely true. That's not just a thing they say. You need to know the right people. The people that you hang out with are going to create the reality that you live in. You become, whether you believe it or not, like the people that you surround yourself around. So the really cool thing is, if you're sitting right now saying, like, I don't have the right friends, I don't have the right group, I don't know the right people, my life is here for this reason, I need to meet new people, but it's frustrating, especially as an adult. Where do you go to meet new people? And I can tell you, it's everywhere. And so I love asking that question, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's a group like this, where you're going to meet like-minded people that are going on the same journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Just and being aware that there is a way out there that you can do that.
Absolutely.
And all you have to do is get a little bit of get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And just reach out to people. And that's how Jason and I met. We met on LinkedIn, but we had an instant connection, and now it'll be 2 years in April that we've been. So yeah, Sherry, tell us a little bit about you, how you came to be doing what you're doing, and
what
I
you're
know
doing.
you have a book coming out. We'll talk about the book in the second half, but tell us about you and your work. And it's always
I'm Dr. Sherry Bainbridge. I am a multiple trauma survivor. I had a really difficult life, and I know the purpose of this life is to help other people. When I was 9, I had 3 infections, and I ended up dying and going to the other side. And I was given the option to stay or come back, that I had a purpose to meet, and they were concerned about my not meeting my purpose. Well, I obviously decided to come back, and in normal human fashion, that purpose then became a big rock of load on my back, going, oh my gosh, am I going to meet this purpose or not? And what is that purpose? And yada, yada. Well, I've had a new awareness, which I'll talk about in just a minute, which I find really fascinating. But my company today is Holistic Collaboration. I am an author, a holistic doctor, a hypnotherapist, an intuitive, a Reiki master, speaker. I do the social media thing, and I've got the foundation of the business built. I had a previous business called Emerald Healing. I'd had 2 people totaled my car. I had a gentleman give me an injury, and I was facing numerous surgeries, over 35 surgeries to my mouth alone. The dental said, oh, it's a car accident, it's too bad, so sad. Medical said, oh, it deals with your mouth, too bad, so sad. So I literally have 130,000 in my mouth just to have a mouth. So I went through a lot of trying times, and when that occurred, I'm now laid up. And I threw myself into education and I started a business called Emerald Healing, which was shocking because I had 1,500 clients up in Idaho. And I would have a client and then I'd be laid up. I'd be on my couch reading my books with a music stand. It was really crazy, but it was phenomenal because I could spend whatever amount of time I needed to with the client. And I learned so much and was so blessed with being able to help so many people. Well, the education was meant to help me with Eastern, tribal, and Western healing and spiritual philosophies around the world. And that's what I used to combine. At one point, because this financially destroyed me, I had a blood marker that caused the oncologist to say, oh my gosh, we have to do immediate aggressive chemotherapy. Well, in my education, I learned there's this space that you have when you're about to come down with something, but you haven't yet. And I said, no, let's do the bone marrow biopsy. They did, and they were shocked that I did not have the cancer yet. So I immediately dropped my disability case because unfortunately, my brain at that time, I wish I knew what I knew today because I wouldn't have done that, but the brain actually brings up those emotions. And every time you go through those experiences, and every 6 months for years, they demanded me to get the same information provided again. Your body literally goes through that experience again. And so I dropped the case. I learned immediately, because life threat, how to change my thinking on a dime. And that's really not as hard as people think it is. It doesn't matter what situation you're in, there's a way to change your thinking so that it's not traumatizing your body so much. Now, the new awareness that I came about recently is because I have this highly psychic side, which everybody does. Everybody's a sixth sensory person. They just have allowed themselves to have it weeded out of them. And for whatever reason, as a child, I never did that. So I'd go back to my childhood often to see what would that little girl do. Well, I realized that nutrition, number one, was huge on my list. And I would look at my God bless my parents, but they had no idea how to be parents. And it was a very violent and difficult home. But they ate and drank so horribly, and they had obesity issues and health issues.
Yeah.
And even as a little kid, look up and go, oh my gosh. Well, the other thing I noticed as I am expanding some of what I'm doing and getting involved in a charity group that deals with bullying. Well, I've been bullied all my life. And I thought, oh my gosh, right there are the clues to people's purpose. What were you passionate about? What bothered you the most? What did you want to change as a young child? And bring that forward to the knowledge and the information and the skills that you have today. Hence the new book, which is Reboot, Reclaim, and Refocus Nutrition. This book covers how you think and how to condition and manipulate your own thinking, because if others can do that, so too can you. And why not? I explain to people how the mega corporations are taking over the food chain and narrowing it. And our food is so messed up. It's unbelievable. The majority of the olive oil in the United States isn't even olive oil. In fact, they use an oil to coat your tongue so you can't tell if they've used rotten olives to make the oil from. Isn't that shocking? I also go into details about the real food that you eat, because everything you put in your body, air, food, water, just everything has side effects. You can always do too much. You can always eat something that can harm you, and you don't understand that. And I hope to clear that up for people. An example would be spinach. Oh, we all loved our spinach salads. Well, spinach contains a goitrogen enzyme that blocks iodine to the thyroid. But if you lightly cook it, it shuts that enzyme down. And there's a dozen or so foods that I list in there that have this enzyme. The majority are vegetables. We talk about how the digestive and the elimination system works and how to read what your body is telling you as to what it wants and what it doesn't want. And it has really clear signals that it sends you. And just like a human being, when the body feels listened to, it speaks up easier and more clearly as time goes on. And this is awesome because as your aging goes on, things change and you have stressors that happen in your life and struggles that happen. And we can make it easier on the digestive system just simply by lightly cooking all your vegetables. Vegetables are healing. Flour is not. I also separate out healthy carbohydrates and the unhealthy ones. And I call the unhealthy ones carboplunks because it's just something you plunk in your tummy as a tummy filler that doesn't have any value other than spiking your glucose, raising your insulin, and not helping you with your health, with your sleep, with your vitality, your energy level. So it covers a lot of information. I'm floored because never did I think I would come out with such a book. It's 300 pages. It's just about to be finished and go to the proofreader, and then it should be out at the very beginning of March. I'm going to have a flash sale on this book for $5 for a 24-hour period. The retail is going to be $27.50, and I've been told $40 would be a better price, but I want it to be in everybody's hand. I'm right there with the average person. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to be close to homelessness, as I was 5 years ago. And now I'm sitting in an office because the energy goes in that direction. The intention goes in that direction. I got hooked up with the Achieve group that has given me the resources and some of the training that I lacked in understanding how things have changed over time, and to help heal myself. We all go through stuff, and you recognize when a person has been through that, and whatever you go through, you're going to have the side effects of it, such as I was laid up for 18 years. It was difficult, and Uber took me on as a driver, but with my credentials, I have to divulge all my injuries, and it's a lot to divulge, and I wouldn't hire me either. I would look at me and go, oh yeah, you're just a liability. So that is so destructive to people's lives that it creates a level of laziness. And now you have to overcome all that relaxing and healing and get back into life again. And the world is not the same place that it was. So there's just a lot of things going on in this world, and it manipulates and conditions people in their thinking. And like PTSD, for example, extreme PTSD, the complex PTSD, people coming out of war, coming out of horrific cult experiences, it affects the mind. And when the second person hit me, T-boned me, and re-damaged my jaw, which is severely damaged, and that risked me not having a jaw. Thank gosh they were able to kind of put it back into place. That caused me to go into a whole whirlwind of some PTSD. It was in bad weather again. And if I saw a person's tire slip, I would start crying, shaking. There was one time at a grocery store, there was ice on the ground. I couldn't even get out of the car. I couldn't do it. And
Paralyzed.
it's quite the experience. And I think that as you read in the book, that there are many, many, many forms of mild PTSD. I swear, I have computer PTSD. I expect something to go wrong every time I sit down in front of the computer.
And with me, one of the things that I always say is that, Jason's heard it before, is like we have 37.2 trillion cells in our bodies.
Yeah.
And each and every one of them is listening to our thoughts, or what's
we're
coming
saying.
out of our mouths. So that's why it is so important to find out that there is a way to change that, to go past it, to find out, gee, is this thought serving me? Is
Yeah.
this reaction serving me? But we have to deal with it. We can't just, I think what happens with most people is that they just try to, shove it under a rug. That's what I got attacked by a dog one time. And even now, once in a while, if I'm out at night, if I see a dog, it's like,
Yeah.
but it is so prevalent.
You are
But it could be anything.
right. We are all 90% energy, and MC square proves that. There's no empty space anywhere. And thought is energy. And the power of, as they talk about, setting your intention. This is what meditation and so forth does. And there's all sorts of creative and fun tricks people can do. I don't enter my office without stopping before the door and going, no, we're not going to go into computer PTSD. Instead, we're going to go, this is exciting. I love technology. It does such wonderful things. And it's amazing to be able to talk to you two and see you two at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with the COVID thing, more people have become aware of how to get on the computer and how to do Zooming and how to connect in this way. And it's just broadened the knowledge and information. It's just exciting.
Yeah, like
it is pretty cool when you say that, because it's like there's so many ages. You had people from family members, grandparents were doing Zoom. You know what I mean? So like all of a sudden it brought everybody up to that equal education that everybody can get online and communicate no matter where you're at.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's like yesterday I was doing a guest, he's going to be coming on the show. And he lives in China.
Wow.
And but we were having a great conversation. So then we were sitting there and he said, well, what time is it right now? And I said, well, I think it was like 10 o'clock yesterday morning. He said, well, it's almost midnight here.
That's really cool.
And just how that we can have such power at the touch of a button.
Yeah.
Right.
And so many people are like either not using it or they're taking it for granted.
If you stop using technology, 6 months, you are out of the loop. It drives me nuts to hear people say, because I'm 64 years old, so I'm up in the older age group. It drives me nuts to hear somebody say that, well, I'm just done with technology. I'm not going to hassle with that anymore. Because in 6 months, they are so out of the loop. And it's so frustrating because like I hooked up with a guy in Central Africa and I learned about how important the grasshopper season is because I'm American. Bugs is not something I willingly want to know I'm consuming. We're all consuming them with anything that we eat. Of course, there's
yes.
And it was fascinating how he talked about they were so looking forward to it and they cook it up in a pan and they have the special sauce on it and it's fabulous nutrition. I really do think that insects have an amazing perfect protein approach.
Yes.
And and in America we have the youngest country. And I honestly believe, and please don't shoot the figure outer here, but they looked at the world and took on the world where they're not making money and went, oh, we can do this and make money. Oh, we can do this and make money. So like the mega corporations, there's 4 corporations that I'm aware of that own all the dog food in the world.
Yeah.
Right. If your dog food doesn't use vitamin E, tryptophan, as the preservative, it's using ethoxyquin. And in Europe, it's banned because it causes horrible defects to the dogs. And so I was feeding my dog, I thought, a really good food. And one dog And these are the history of these dogs are fantastic. The health is fantastic. One dog came down with diabetes, should not have, and the other dog came down with kidney failure. And ethoxyquin was the cause, because I go into major research going, okay, this can't be because I'm doing
Yeah.
everything. My sister's a dog trainer. I'm doing everything that you're supposed to do. And it was devastating to me to learn this, because you will not see on the label ethoxyquin.
Yeah.
And our labels in the
Right.
store are the same way. They don't include everything that's in there. And after the pandemic, the cost of things have risen so drastically that even the better organic selection has changed
Now
and
chimping
put,
out.
yeah, unhealthy
Yeah.
oils in the
Wow.
dressings and other things that cause the chemicals that cause the taste buds to go, ooh, this is great. And then you notice how it disappears really quick.
Yeah.
Assuming you're going to eat more, that makes no sense to me, because it makes me not want to eat any of it. Let
Yeah.
it linger on my tongue, and then I'm
Right.
going to want to eat more.
Right.
But the tricks, and some companies get caught. Like recently, the high metals in baby foods and the
Right.
leads and so forth. It used to be that the thought of a water district handing out filters for their water was unheard of and wasn't supposed to ever happen. And now that's commonplace. And it's just accepted that they're not capable of filtering out so much.
Yeah.
And with all the negative people in the world, I worked for a water district, and chemical companies would go up and they would dump chemicals in the little stream that they got the water from. And it was horrific for them to have to figure out, well, what is that in there? How do we have to deal with it? And how long can we wait before we have to announce it publicly, or can we get away with not announcing it?
Right. Or how long can we get caught? Like, how long can we go without being caught?
Exactly. And that's in everything. I believe that the more you let your food be processed,
Right.
the more crap is going to be involved in it. And food has an energetic health to it too. We feed ourselves energetically. And most people have heard of the story where the priest and the meditator and a person that did nothing did those things over the food and the water, and it alters the patterns in
Right.
the water, the geometric patterns. And Eastern philosophy believes that that is far more healthier, because it aids the food in and the nutrients in absorption. And when you look at canned foods, it has like zero energy left in it. Frozen food, dehydrated foods, these still retain some of the energy. But of course, the best energy is from fresh food. And I hear people talk about it's so hard to eat healthy. No, it's not. It's actually really simple and
Yeah.
easy. You eat leafy vegetables. You eat 3 vegetables for every 1 vegetable underground. These things are so healing. And they have such a great energetic component to it that it feeds the energy that we have. Our thoughts feed our energy. We have exterior influences on our energy, such as how we think about our bodies. And that's a big American thing. And it drives me nuts that people look at these famous people and go, oh, I'm supposed to look like that. Well, talk to those famous people. Do you know how hard that is to
How
do?
hard that is. Yeah.
Yeah, at one point, Cher said, I exercise 8 hours a day to keep my body the way it's at. And they have to eat super healthy all the time. But when you do that, you sleep better. You're not sluggish, you have energy, your brain is clearer. And when you connect with that spirit side of yourself, because we are 90% spirit, which would change that formula to 7% water and only 3% physical matter.
Mm.
And in our medical community, it was Rockefeller that came up with the criteria for the medical education for our doctors and so forth. And of course, because it's petroleum-based pharmaceuticals. And I'm all for when you need a pharmaceutical. If you need a pain pill, you calm down those hormones and so forth and get that body calmed down. And that's wonderful. But there's also alternatives to that. Many people can't understand why I don't take hardly at all ever a pain pill, because there's so many other ways you can deal with it and think about it. And with my neck injury, C4 through 7, I could go all the way down my body, my hips 4 millimeters to the left. This misaligns everything. With Eastern philosophy that's been around for thousands of years and tribal philosophy, it's fascinating. Have you ever wondered how they figured out what plants would help you and how they would help you?
Yeah, yes, all the time. I'm like, how in the hell did they figure this stuff out? Like even anything, like even think about drugs. Like who was the first person to put like fungus off of a cow manure in their mouth and was like, let's try this out.
Right.
Let's see what happens here.
It's called the law of similarity. And what they discovered was if a plant you ate gave you a horrific headache, like a salvia plant, if you eat a teeny tiny piece of it, it will take the headache away. If a plant gave you severe nausea, teeny tiny bit of it would calm your stomach down. And this is how they figured out what things helped other things, as well as shamanic journeying, which is fascinating because these tribes couldn't speak to each other around the world. And these journeys are so similar. It is mind-blowing. And when people can connect to the energetic part of life, and believe it or not, you can't argue that that can't happen anymore, because Russell Targ, he's a fabulous physicist. He has tons of videos out there and YouTube's out there. They discovered exactly how to do remote viewing. So they don't hire intuitives or psychics to do remote viewing anymore. They hire the physicists because now they see how it's done. So they're able to give themselves permission to do it, where people like us, it's really easy to do. People like us, you have the ability to tap into that knowledge and get those little hits that can help give you the guidance that you need. And we need guidance in this world.
And that's a total subject in itself. So we'll continue after the break here. And so let me just share a quick little thing about aging gracefully. And it's not about trying to look like a 30-year-old. It's about living your best life, which is what we're talking about, and having the mental and the physical and the financial resources to enjoy it. And so that's where the Wellness Playroom comes in. So this is the sponsor of this podcast. So just, there's somewhere on the page, there's something that says Aging Gracefully. So check us out. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. So it's just all in exactly what we're talking about today. And just because, and most people don't understand the correlation between all of the things. This did not all just happen. Like a friend of mine, she does flower frequencies. And I said, and we asked her exactly the same thing that you just asked Sherry. How do they find out how this? Well, some of these things have been around for thousands of years. But it's just, I truly believe that in some ways, it's just when the universe, God, or whoever you happen to want to talk to, whoever you want to admit to, will put this knowledge into somebody's brain. And like you, this knowledge has been put into your brain that you want to find out. And now you're doing the research. Like with me, I love doing research about aging. Why are we aging? What ways can we slow down the aging process? I truly believe that each and every one of us has that put into us so that we can help the rest of the world.
Right. We should be living a lot longer than we do. And when you talk about flowers, plants, when they cut them, they scream. They really have emotion and feeling. They're just a different life form. And this
Right.
idea that somehow the human is the ultimate life form. Oh my God, look at humanity. Seriously, let's think about this.
Yeah.
So in fact, in my connecting poetry book, it's just a book of poetry, getting my feet wet for the first time, and introduces a character called Nog. I sat down next to a tree and I just asked the tree a question. What would you like to tell me? And from that came the most beautiful poem. And all I did was write down everything the tree said.
Right.
And I don't recall that I had to tweak anything in it. It just came so beautifully. When I got my hypnotherapy, this was so fun, because when I knew that when I came across this class that Sylvia Brown was doing, she did 50 years of groundbreaking work in past life regressions and hypnotherapy. So she had a class coming up, and we were her first class. In order to be a teacher, in order to get accredited, you have to do the class before you get your final license to do that. So they never talk about the first class. And it was just phenomenal. I was jumping up and down going, oh my gosh, this is for me. I get this. This is easy. And things don't come easy to me. I really have to work at it. But that was one thing I didn't have to work at. It just, the whole thing
Right.
makes sense. And when you do past life regressions, and I do human being removal, because human beings die and they don't necessarily move on. There's many reasons. Your thinking, your emotion, if you're full of anger or fear, you might not move on. And that light has trouble coming to you because our earth has become so chemicaled. And so these beings learn that they can attach to other people pretty easily. The problem with that is their energy can be disruptive to your energy, and it sets you up for injuries and illnesses and so forth. And I've done hundreds of these. The stories are so amazing. And if you remember, and they're detailed beyond belief. And when you have a 6'4" man, burly, he's a man, sitting there and going, oh my gosh, I'm in a skirt. It's hard to deny the truth of it.
And there's so many people out there that are right now listening to this going, that's a little woo-woo.
Right,
And
exactly.
Yet, so much of the things that are coming out are being scientifically proven.
Oh, exactly. And if you remember Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, what he did was go into hypnosis, and you can do self-hypnosis. I do it all the time. He went into hypnosis. He did have an assistant that wrote down everything he said, and he would come up with cures and aids of helping people in their illness. He's the only medical doctor that was given a license to practice as a medical doctor without a real license in the United States. So if you look at that, even though the United States says, oh no, that can't be, but yet it was.
Right.
There's just so much to learn from all this stuff, and we can carry stuff over from previous lives. I had a client one time, she's standing at a bridge and she says, I can't cross the bridge. I don't know what happens. I go into the PTSD. I start shaking. I go into anxiety. I start hyperventilating. What happened? Well, she went into a past life where the bridge that she was walking across collapsed. And she collapsed with the bridge and ended up carrying over that horrifying experience, because she didn't pass out until she hit the ground. So she carried that over. And we can carry over things like money mismanagement, all sorts of stuff, when we find out that sometimes what we are doing is not because of our own lacking, but it's because of all these other things. We have 1,000 lives. And I know there's a lot of people who go, oh, that can't be true. But the history of it is phenomenal. Eastern has talked about this, has studied energy. It has it so well defined. You have 72,000 chakras. And these are communications that happen.
Right.
And it's constantly communicating. We communicate with other people all the time. One of my favorite little techniques is putting gifts up around my aura. And these gifts, although I visualize what they are, they're really truly a gift of love. And one time I got pulled over by a policeman and I was speeding 15 miles over the speed limit. And I go, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I'm putting up gifts. I'm seeing him walk up and he flips open that book and he pulls out his pen. And I go, oh, great, a 30-year-old cocky policeman. Yay. I'm in for it. And I noticed that he had a ring on his finger, and I thought, okay, he's got to be married. And by now he's got to have a couple of kids. And so I'm putting up free babysitting coupons, weekends away with his wife without the kids, money, 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 anything that I thought that he might like. Well, he stood there and talked to me for just a couple of minutes. He goes back to his vehicle and he spends about 8-10 minutes in his vehicle, which was excruciating. It felt like an hour.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he comes back and he says, ma'am, my supervisor won't allow me not to write a ticket. We've had too many accidents along this road. So I had to write your ticket. I thanked him because I was speeding. He gives me the ticket. Well, I was going 15 over and he wrote it for 5.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he found a way to help me out. And he had no other reason to do so except that change of energy that occurred. Now,
Mhm.
the other side of the coin on this is that my mind is set on focusing doing the gifts and not on the fear, not on the anxiety, not on, oh crap, how can I get
Yeah.
out of this?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
story can I tell? Because
Mhm.
it's a normal knee-jerk reaction. I
Yep.
don't want a
Yep.
ticket, the insurance is going to raise and all of that. And I find that this technique is just amazing in so many different settings. When I do public speaking, I walk in that room throwing out healing energy and hearts and all this good stuff. I get on the stage and I'm throwing out gifts to the audience. It's not about me, it's about them and their healing. I'm there to learn from them and share what I know and hope that it makes a difference. So many people have done that for me. And before all this, before we started this, Barbara and I had a conversation about synchronicity. And you came in and we talked a little more about it, how
Yeah.
fascinating that is when you come
Isn't it?
across that right person at that right moment. You open up that magazine and you get that message right at that time. We get clues and hints to help us. I asked one time, channeling, why do we come here? Because honestly, I was a little bitty kid going, why the heck did I come back? Nothing's changed in this world for thousands of years, thousands. It's just ridiculous. And I don't get that. It stays the same. And in this book, in the last chapter, we kind of talk about that because it's the cults that actually rule things. And like the Illuminati have been around since the 2nd century. They're behind all the government. They're behind everything that makes big money. And they're part of how we stay limited in our thinking. We're meant to figure this out. But part of the reason we come here is because energy is so connected. And we don't get that feeling of separation because you don't hide anything. When you're on the other side, everything's in your energy. Anybody can tap in. You have to give permissions for certain areas for them to tap in, but people can see right through you. This is why some people, when they reach the end of their life, they have such a struggle because all the fears come in and they're afraid of that judgment and they're afraid that things are the way they've been told. And it's just really not true. Part of it is true. It gives great guidance, morals, ethics, help your neighbor, be kind, be sweet, be generous, help people in need if you can. Be honest. And that's one of the biggest things for every human being is the goal is to be honest. It stretches you. It's hard to be honest all the time and tell the truth. There's always a kind way and a compassionate and caring way to present the information, but you stagnate your own development. If you happen to be an introvert, which make amazing actors and actresses, amazing speakers, It's such a struggle for them to always be really truthful about things. They get in situations where they might use their phone and go, oh gosh, I've got to go. We can talk about this later, because they're getting uncomfortable and they don't know how to say, thank you so much. Can we talk about this later? There's things that I really need to do. They pull up their phone like a lie, like a wall, protecting themselves. If they stretch themselves each time, that gets them just a little closer to getting out of that, staying so much inside of themselves. And then you have the extrovert who's hanging out above their head. They're not really grounded. The idea is to get a balance. You're here to heal yourself from those things. And we are here to figure this stuff out, to find ways to rise above the chaos we have no control and still thrive in the life that we are creating for ourselves.
Yeah, to be the best version of us.
Exactly.
To be the best version of us. That's why Jason and I, we have great conversations about, just the things that are going on around us.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
and you have the youth. I've talked to many youth. One of the blessings of being the Uber driver, I've had over 4,300 rides in the past 3 years. And I've talked to the youth, and the information in this book is exactly what they're looking for. They're trying to figure out, this world is so messed up. I don't get it. I don't know where to turn. Well, they're not alone. Even us adults have that problem too.
So many people don't.
Exactly, because the world's not set up for the average person to thrive. We're here to support all those above us financially in their thriving and their whims and their exploration of the universe and spirituality and so forth. But when we learn this, it starts opening up a whole nother window as to the amount of power that we really do have with our lives. And when you do that, you attract in amazing people. You meet, like you spoke about before, those people in your tribe. My thinking is out there. I get that. I've had way out there experiences. I came here to have those experiences. And one of the things, like I love numerology. Numerology, if you think about it, in our world, our computer system is 0101 combinations to make the computer system work. Well, our own science says the Earth is a computer simulation. History says the moon was put in place. So therefore, the moon isn't what we're taught that it really is. So we're in this simulation that's computer. Well, on the other side, the computer is 0 to 9. And that's where numerology comes from, because it can aid in labeling your personality traits that you've been gifted with in order to accomplish that piece of pie that you're taking care of. Now, a piece of your pie can be 50 lives, say 45 here and 5 on another planet. So you're here to accomplish that. Well, that requires having certain parts of your personality kind of pre-programmed so that that can happen. Accidents happen all the time. My mother wasn't meant to be as abusive as she became. I have come across where I've gotten in the way of somebody else's karma, and it wasn't my karma that hit me, but somebody else's that hit me. We can get stuck in the thought that everything that happens to you is your creation. Not really true. It's partly true, but not totally. There's so many different factors. You can't just look and go, it's 1, 2, 3, that's it. We live in a universe that is multi-existent, multifaceted, and in quantum physics, thousands of dimensions exist, and there are dimensional overlaps that occur. And this is where people can see things like in an intersection and you see a cliff, and the cliff then disappears and it's actually just a house with a fence. All sorts of strange things happen that is hard for us to explain and to have an understanding of, and it's meant for it to be hard. We are here in a world where the powers that be want to tell us how it is. It's time to stop listening.
And keep us small. I mean, and this is just such a fascinating subject. I mean, it's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours
Yes.
of conversations about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like once in a while, Jason and I, it's like, okay, we're having one of our woo-woo conversations. But it's so fun because I truly believe that there are other, like for me, I believe that there's other dimensions of time.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
And
Time exists here, no other
time
place.
exists here. But because there have been so many times in my life where it's like, I've done this before, the deja vu kind of
Yeah.
thing. But it's always such an amazing subject. Anyways, we could go on for hours. So Sherry, so your book is coming. What's the name of your book again?
The book is
And we'll be sure to put it in the show notes. And
Reboot, Reclaim, and Refocus Nutrition. And my website is Holistic Collaboration. You can find my books on Amazon, Barnes & Noble Digital, and Walmart picked up my 2 books. This new one is coming out at the beginning of March. And like I said, I'm going to have an announcement that I'll put out on Facebook. And, if anybody wants to email me, holisticcollaboration@gmail.com, and I'll put you on the list for the $5 sale. That'll just happen for 24 hours. And then thereafter, it'll be the $27.50. And I feel so blessed to be a part of what you're doing and a part of the change that's occurring and opening up the doors for awareness, not just for myself, but definitely for other people too. I don't want people to go through what I've been through. I want, if there's any way that what I have to share helps somebody else go, oh my gosh, I can pass by the fast food place now and not do that to this wonderful body I've been gifted with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we all have that gift. And whether you believe in what we've been talking about today or not, it doesn't make it not real or not.
Yeah.
But it's not true for you yet.
Right. And
that's
don't
one of the things that I have really had to, hey, somebody might not believe me now, and that's okay, because this is not reality for them yet. But it might be eventually, maybe not. That's a choice that they have.
And you can feel your soul rise up and go, whoa, hold it.
Right. That
and
moment of awareness.
Exactly. And we're meant to plant these seeds, and they're tough seeds because of the harsh judgment that exists here to keep people in the little box that you're supposed to stay in and not go out. It's all based in fear. And when you can change that to love and excitement and wonderment, everything changes around you, and what gets attracted to you gets changed. And you no longer need somebody else to tell you how to be, because how you are being is your best.
Is your best version.
Awesome.
So, Jason, some last words?
Phenomenal episode. Just I sat back and just learned a lot, just able to learn a lot, especially about the diet and stuff like that. And I had a guest yesterday that really aligned with your message, Sherry, and I love this, especially people that are really into the soul, into the intuitiveness and stuff like that. Like, my guest yesterday said, when working with people, sometimes they can get to like my soul and I can transcend and all these things, that they take advantage of the temple and the body and the vehicle that they're given. And they don't pay attention to some of these things that you're talking about. And then all of a sudden this vehicle is preventing them from being able to carry out their mission. And so you have to be able to make sure that you're taking care of your temple and taking care of your vehicle, because if not, you're going to be prevented from being able to carry out the greatness that you can achieve in life.
Right.
Yeah. And it's such a fascinating subject, and there's all different levels of it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So right now, if this sounds just too out there, okay, that's okay.
Right.
Start, but everybody can start with one little thing. And I remember one of the first things that I realized after my husband passed away was that David had died, I had not. That was a moment of awareness. Okay, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
It can be that simple and yet that profound. And I had it right at that second. I had a choice. Am I going to live, or am I just going to mentally wither away until my body, this physical body, dies?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not.
Not.
I'm
Yeah.
not.
It does boil down to that choice.
It boils on that choice.
Definitely.
Yep.
And even if you hear stuff, if you read my book and you don't agree with everything, that's fine.
Right.
The information that it has in it, a lot of it is very, very scientifically based. And very much Eastern and tribal based, which I think their science approach is just as wonderful as ours, because it focused so much more on the 90% that we really are, rather than just the physical. If I can lower my blood marker, which I've lowered and it's been low for 10 years, and not allow myself to go into that awful cancer. Oh my goodness, everybody out there has a shot to do that, unless it is your purpose to go through that cancer. And when we go through,
and to help other people to go through it.
That's the point. We're here to help other people, and you've got to help yourself first. If you can't take and love this body that you've been gifted with, and the mind and the spirit you've been gifted with, you have to learn how to love and have compassion for yourself, so that you can then love and have the compassion necessary to be of benefit to other people.
Yeah, which is pretty much the thing, the premise of this show.
Yeah,
finding the riches in your everyday. Because what like one of the things, and Jason always says, "Oh, Barbara, I love that statement. If you have thought it, if you have been through it, if you have survived it, you have this, that becomes your message that you need to teach other people how to go through it, because they're in a different, they're behind you and going through it."
Yeah, and it may not help absolutely everybody, but that few that go, okay, oh my gosh, that's going to work.
I can make it.
That's my situation. I can solve this problem. So you have to go through crap. The idea that you're only experiencing your own karma, just not true. You're meant to go through crap. You're meant to go through the accidents. You're meant to go through this stuff, because you're not relatable and you don't know how to help somebody else unless you have been.
Right. Yeah. We teach our own story.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyways, Sherry, this was
phenomenal.
You know, that's what I love about this show. I never know how the conversation is going to go. But it just really gives you food for thought, is that there are all different levels of consciousness, of awareness, of getting things done. And on the other hand, of the not getting anything done, of just being stuck in your own. And some people are, and they're just, oh, I'm just stuck. Yeah, well, what are you going to do to get unstuck? So anyways, we want this to be absolutely an uplifting show. So just be aware. Look at the positive side of things. And next week, we're going to have a great guest. Come back. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe. Ring the bell so that you know the next time that we're coming up. And it's going to be just a fun journey, and enjoy the journey of finding your riches in your everyday. So Jason, have a good
you too. Check out Sherry's book, Reboot, Reclaim, and Refocus Your Nutrition. Refocus Nutrition.
We'll put the link in the show notes, and absolutely check it out. You never know what you're going to learn. And I think that's the biggest thing. Be open. Because you never know what's going to hit you, what you're going to be ready for.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
All right, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Have an awesome week. Sherry, thanks for
everybody.
coming. Jason, we'll talk soon. Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.